for Bring Your Own Lunch. Personal stories about the business with my daddy, Dave T. Kenning.
All right, come on in, have a seat, welcome. This is the Bring Your Own Lunch podcast at bringyourownlunch.com, the magic of iTunes, the majesty of Stitcher. And however you found your way to download this podcast, I thank you. As you heard at the top, my name is Dave T. Koenig. I'm an actor, writer, director, producer, comedian, all-around swell dude. I forgot to think of a joke to put here. And of course, I'm the host of the podcast you're listening to right now. BYOL is the hashtag. If you want to get involved, get in touch. If you want to reach out via social media, like us on Facebook.com/BringYourOwnLunch. Follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at BringYourOwnLunch. And we're out there in other places. But if you get lost and you need to find your way, you can always go to the website, the mothership, if you will, the home base, bringyourownlunch.com, where you have all the information about all the guests on this program, past, present, and presumably future. And you can send me a personal email, dave@bringyourownlunch.com, and I will be your personal guide getting back to where it all happens right here on this podcast. Right here on this podcast this week. Awesome guest. A guy I'm so happy to have on, Joel Marsh Garland. Joel and I have, we had that relationship that sometimes happens in acting where you know somebody for years. You're sort of familiar with each other. Maybe you see each other at auditions, or you see them on stage or on TV or in a film, and they see you maybe the same way, and you just don't quite know each other, but you know of each other. That's kind of a common actor thing, but not too long ago, he and I formally introduced ourselves to each other, and I think he's just a great guy. I think he's very, very cool, and I'm so glad I had a chance to sit down with him. If you are not familiar with the name, you have seen him. If you watch Orange is the New Black, he plays the prison guard O'Neill. He is fantastic in that. He won a Screen Actors Guild Award as part of that ensemble cast, and he and I talked quite a bit about working on Orange is the New Black and some of the ins and outs of what that is like and some of the stuff that he experiences firsthand being part of that cast. And if you haven't seen Orange is the New Black, it's on Netflix, and it is just amazing. I'm assuming you have seen it, but I don't like to make complete blanket statements like that, so just in case you're one of the people who hasn't watched Orange is the New Black yet, it's totally worth it. Season 3 was released not too long ago. I am on the last episode of the most recent season, Season 3, and it's fantastic. The show holds up so well over the seasons, and it's in this new way of putting TV out there, of producing seasons at a time and then releasing them all at once. And he and I talk about the difference between that and being on a show on a network, say, where they release one episode every week for some months, and how that changes the game for a lot of us. But if you're looking for information on Season 4, we don't talk about it at all whatsoever. So if you're looking for spoilers, if you're looking for any indication, Joel couldn't even tell me whether or not he's involved in Season 4. He would not tell me anything. I want to assure you, I want to assure people who are behind Orange is the New Black that Joel kept to his word. He is mum, couldn't get a word out of him on it. So I'm sitting here waiting with you for what happens in Season 4. All I know is that it is being produced. That's all I know. That's all I can say, and it's more than what Joel would tell me, so I'm not holding anything back. As far as his career credentials go, he's also in an upcoming film adaptation of John Steinbeck's In Dubious Battle. That's being directed by James Franco, who adapted the book. They were both in the revival of Mice and Men on Broadway last year. We talk a little bit about Joel's career on the stage as well, because he's been in film and TV and on stage, and he's done a lot. He's just great. So I'm really looking forward to bringing you that conversation with a guy who is certainly affable beyond belief. I would say affable is definitely one of the best ways to describe Joel, because he's got a great personality, and he's kind of like what you would expect when you see him on Orange is the New Black. So that is something that's coming up in a second. If you've been trying to listen to the show and you've had any problems going through iTunes on a Mac or PC, I am now aware that there has been a problem. I don't know why you didn't tell me if you had a problem. I wish you would. You can always send me an email, dave@bringyourownlunch.com, and let me know that you're having a problem. But just so you know, I am aware of the problem. It is in the process of being fixed. You can always get the show via the website, bringyourownlunch.com, of course. You can get it through Stitcher. You can get it through iTunes on your iPhone. But for some reason, if you're using an actual computer through the iTunes program, it just hasn't been working. So Go there now, and if you haven't had a chance to listen to last week's episode with Kevin Arboway, do that also, because it's good. And listen to all the episodes. They're all great, because the guests on the show really set the tone, and we haven't had a bad one yet. So go listen to that stuff. I'm about to head into the city, New York City to be specific, to go see a screening of Karl Manhair, Postal Inspector. That's from director Chandler Kaufman and executive producer Hilary Cutter. It stars Jeffrey Cantor, who you may remember if you're a Netflix fan. If you saw Daredevil, he played the newspaper editor in that series in season 1, and also stars Amy Rutberg. She played Foggy Nelson's ex-girlfriend, and in one of those episodes, Jeffrey and Amy Rutberg were in it, and so was I. So the three of us were in an episode of Daredevil, and it just happens that I'm also in Karl Manhair, Postal Inspector, in a very limited role. Chandler asked me to take the role, and I was more than happy to, because Chandler's awesome, and I'm excited to finally see the final product. It's had several screenings at various festivals. I finally get to see it tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. Also got to see the cast and crew of Indignation over the weekend. They had the wrap party. The film has completed its principal photography, so I had a chance to go in and see a bunch of the crew, as well as the director James Schamus and star Logan Lerman. He as I have learned is just a super nice guy. James Schamus is incredibly nice and incredibly gracious and very cool. And between the two of them, I'm hoping great success for this film. My participation notwithstanding, I really hope good things come to both James and to Logan, who were really cool with me, and I can only hope good things for them. And I have a couple pics on the website if you're interested, and you can enjoy those pics as well, and they will be on Twitter and Instagram before I even put them up on the website. So before you hear this, you may have already seen the pictures, but I'm happy that they're there anyway. And congratulations to Amy Schumer. Trainwreck, her film, opened to a $30 million box office take over the weekend, and it's getting really good reviews, and people seem to be enjoying it. And Amy Schumer is somebody I've known since before she was really famous. I did a play with her several years ago called Keeping Abreast in New York City, and she was a touring stand-up, and she was not yet even on Last Comic Standing, but I think we all knew that she was headed for some big things, and she was very nice to me at the time. And of course, I'm hitching my wagon to her star and shamelessly linking myself to her in this podcast, because that's what we do. But I'm glad for her, and I'm happy for her success and the fact that she is absolutely everywhere. And if you want to hear an interview that I did with her, you can listen to the old episode of the Commercials Free podcast that I did with Ken Pond. Ken and I had Amy on the show. Again, before she was a big household name A-lister. I don't know if I can get her on this podcast. You may have to help me make that happen. I don't know. But you can hear me talk to Amy with Ken Pond. There's a link in the show notes for this episode at bringyourownlunch.com. Oh, and speaking of websites, go to banooba.net, BANOOBA.net. That's the band that plays the music at the beginning, middle, and end of this show. They are awesome. They give us tremendous support just by providing their music to this show, and I want you to go visit them, go see them live, go buy their music, download their music, become part of the Banooba experience, and if you do happen to run into them, tell them Dave says thanks. And if you really want to support what we're doing here, if you really like what's happening, first of all, you can just tell a friend or two or 100 or 1,000 friends to download and listen to Bring Your Own Lunch. But if you want to take a little more personal tack, you can go to iTunes or Stitcher and rate, review, and subscribe to this show. It really helps us out. It helps us spread the word. It helps us get more interest in the show, and it would help out tremendously in our effort to keep this thing going week after week with some amazing guests who I love having on this show, and I love bringing it to you. So if you want to help us out, definitely go to iTunes or Stitcher, rate, review, subscribe. That's all I ask, plus $1 million. All right, let's get into it with Joel Marsh Garland. Awesome actor. Orange is the new black cast member. Avid photographer. Sexiest man alive? We'll find out. Here's Joel. Enjoy. Tell me what you are feeling with your mouth right now.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, on one half. That's the thing. I went to the periodontist today, and they did what's called a scalar cleaning.
Yes.
So they go under the gum line and
really get in there.
They have a number of sharp implements that they stick up there. Mm-hmm. And so today my periodontist did the right half of my mouth. Oh. So on the left half, I feel everything. The left half is very sensitive, but the right half, it's sort of like you're like talking through a walrus or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's impossible to feel what's going on.
You've gotten the left half done already, or is the left half to come?
No. I'm sorry to interrupt. No, I got the left half done last week.
Oh, okay. So you're done with the process, and as long as your feeling comes back, you're done with this for a while.
Yeah, well, they'll look at it. She'll look at it, and then she'll tell me whether or not she wants to do more terrible things to my face.
Oh, she's serious, man. She's into it.
No, she's very serious. This was the interesting thing. I got the nicest compliment today, which won't pay off because you guys probably will hear how weird the right half of my mouth sounds, but my dentist is hearing impaired.
Oh.
And she said, you're very easy to lip read.
Interesting.
Which she said is unusual for an actor. I think the other actors she's met have probably been more TV and film actors.
Okay, yeah.
And she says it's harder to read their lips. There's a lot of mumbling.
It's interesting because that's like the modern day acting style is all of like, let's talk with very little lip movement, and we're going to do very little in terms of volume. We're just going to keep it down here, but we're not going to move our lips a lot.
Well, it's emotional. I think that's the thing. You watch the guys on TV, you watch the guys on the television, on the cop shows.
Yeah.
The cop shows are always like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's he doing over there? He's been shot in the face 47 times. Shot in the face. That's the worst fucking thing I've ever heard. Shot in the face. Can I swear on your podcast or not?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. The FCC's not coming and breaking down the door.
But, as an actor, my style has never been like I'm having a lot of emotions. So I, was trained to do the theater, and I don't mind speaking with my face.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's very interesting how different styles affect different moods in different media,
Well, it's also like the microphone. The microphone loves the warmth you get from whispering.
Yes.
It's like you remember Bing Crosby became the famous crooner because he was the first one to look at a microphone and address it like a microphone as opposed to a studio or as opposed to a concert hall.
Yes,
He would be loving and soft with a microphone because he could hear so much more.
That makes a lot of sense too, and they would depict him in cartoonish ways. Like caressing the microphone, like it was a woman. Yeah,
I totally
like in Bugs Bunny cartoons and stuff like that.
I remember the audio part of it, but I forgot that there were these pictures of him like holding it like he was from that World War II photo where the guy takes the girl and kisses her after he's gotten off the boat.
Right, Times Square.
Yeah, it's like that.
Oh, it's so funny.
Bing Crosby with the microphone.
Yeah, but it's brilliant, to think about it.
Absolutely.
People who transcend their given field and are able to do something new with a medium like that. I mean, is there, sometimes I worry that like we've reached the end. I'm like, what else new are we going to do? Can we innovate?
They're doing 360 stuff now. They're doing this stuff it's hard for me to wrap my brain around it because everything for me is still, the little box.
Yeah.
When you're watching television or film.
Absolutely.
Even most of the time the theater still lets itself be a little box.
Yeah.
But now they do this 360 stuff. So the camera can move, but you can change your viewpoint as you see fit.
That's amazing to think about.
So the camera might be on a how do they mount a 360 camera?
I don't even know.
On a stick? On another camera? Like, do you have to mount your cameras on a camera?
I don't even know. I mean, this goes beyond. I think I'm a pretty reasonably intelligent dude, but there are certain things that just go beyond my particular understanding, and that's one of them. Like how they even come up with this stuff that allows you to do like changing views. Like you're allowing the audience to basically change their own perspective, which is crazy.
I could understand it with Google because the time is taken out, right? With Google, the car goes and you could take pictures of where you just were to fill in where the bottom half for where.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yes,
it's like a time loop.
But
when it's live, like you couldn't look at your feet all the time.
Right.
Or you must be able to. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know.
But the camera can move and then you can move as you see fit inside of wherever the camera would be. You can turn and refocus, I guess. It's the Oculus Rift and all that
stuff. I mean, it is very interesting and exciting time to be living and enjoying all this technology. But at the same time, it is frightening as hell, especially for actors, because who knows if they're going to find out a way to completely cut us out of the picture, literally.
No, I've seen them do amazing things. I was shooting I did reshoots for this movie called Limitless, and they had us in. They had filmed it once. They didn't like how it came out. So they brought other actors in to try it a different way. I think they'd done it with some stunt guys who were great at the stunt parts, and then they wanted to change the story or change what those guys had done.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
So the woman we were across from had to run through a park. Only she'd broken her leg a week or two earlier.
Oh, man.
So they put her on a cart. They had 2 guys pushing her. And they pushed her on the cart and they shot her from, like mid-chest up. So the camera would follow her and they tracked it. And then they had a stunt woman who they put a blue mask on and had her run the same track. And then they paired the two together where they put the woman who had been on the cart, her head, onto the stunt woman's body in the post effect. So it looked like she was running, but it was a stunt woman running. It was insane. Insane.
So we're coming up to the point where, like, the actor themselves, like the big name actor, can just do everything from home. They'll have a home setup with these 360 cameras around them in front of a blue screen, and they'll just submit that to the effects people, and the effects people will map their face onto a stunt person's body.
Well, you look at Siri, right? You listen to how much scope they can get out of one person's voice. Because obviously the woman's not there dictating it. They've taken enough of the phonetic sounds and enough of the words and enough of the idioms.
Yes, yeah.
And they have a database that creates, right now I wouldn't say it's super real or superhuman, but it's there.
It's like, enough, yeah.
How long before they could you or I could sit down for 3 weeks and suddenly you don't need a David anymore. You got a digital David that'll do most of the work.
Oh, God. And if they only knew how little work I actually do. I don't know why I didn't want to do that.
You work plenty. I see you plenty. You must work plenty.
I don't know about that because, again, I see you a lot more. In fact, we'll get into, I saw you last night specifically because I'm watching the 3rd season of Orange is the New Black, which is great. I haven't finished the season. So we're going to, basically, my knowledge goes up until the point where you kind of turn into Jean Valjean.
So I won't tell you what happens in the last 2 episodes.
No, don't, please.
So you're on 11.
I'm on 11, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, I see that's interesting to me. And it's a good place to kind of dig in a little bit. This is a regular gig for you, and it became an extended gig for you. Is that a first for you? Had you had any longer term experience on a series? And forgive me for not knowing that.
No, don't worry about it. I did it, but it wasn't as long as this. I did Kings years ago.
Okay, yeah. That was kind of short lived.
Yeah, it was only a season.
Yeah,
but I did almost every episode. I think I took.
How long did it last?
Just 13 episodes.
Okay, yeah.
13 episodes. But NBC was contracted that they had to broadcast them.
Yeah.
So they put us on against, they didn't like it. Yeah. I don't know why they didn't like it. I don't know if there was some politics with producers.
It always is, yeah.
But they put it on the first week. It was against Obama. We were supposed to go in the slot where, do you remember ER?
Yeah.
We were supposed to go in that slot when they ended.
The Thursday 10 p.m.?
Yeah.
Oh, the real good one.
Yeah, the real good slot.
Okay.
But ER got extended 4 episodes. Oh. And they were like, no, you're not going to go after ER. So they switched everything around. They put Southland. Remember Southland?
Yeah, that's another one that kind of didn't have as much legs as maybe some figured.
Well, it did do a little better than we did because it went on to either TNT or
that's right.
Network,
yeah,
and then had
new
some
life.
there.
That's true.
So they said, they're going to go an extra 4 episodes on ER because we like it so much. And we'll put Southland in there. And then you guys will be Sunday nights at 8 p.m.
Prime time.
Sunday nights at 8 p.m. with Ian McShane, who, like Ian's last success before our show, before Kings, this was years ago, Kings, but had been Deadwood.
Yeah.
Where he's on HBO swearing like a...
Yeah, you're getting a watered down kind of censored version of Ian McShane, which takes out a lot of the fun.
Nobody at that point was looking for Ian McShane for that, right?
Yeah.
Ian is a great actor, but everybody was like, well, he's foul-mouthed, he's in a Milch thing, and it's like a Millich thing, it's like, what was he? What were we getting? It would have been like Sunday night at 8 is like what I remember to be Disney. It was all like...
Yeah, well, it depends on what time of the year, because you guys were not in the fall. It wasn't against football, right?
Yeah, we were. Oh, that was the worst part. Our first episode aired against Obama's inauguration speech. All right, which,
who watched that?
Everybody.
Yeah, right.
Everybody watched that. And, I watched that. I wanted to see Obama's inauguration speech. So that was our first episode, and our second episode aired against March Madness.
That's a little tough.
Yeah, no, terrible.
A little tough.
Terrible. Nobody watched the show. And so, but NBC was contracted to show it. So it ended up on... like 2:00 in the morning on Mondays in the summer.
Oh my God.
It was like the worst.
They really buried you guys.
Oh, they buried it. And then Sci-Fi brought it back for a little bit. But that show, it did not.
It was kind of high concept too. It was a bit, right?
Yeah, it was high concept. Francis Lawrence directed the first 2 episodes. I was pretty proud of it. I thought that show was beautiful, and I liked the high concept, but I think the fit of it is more in line with what Sci-Fi was doing at the time.
Okay, yeah. Do you think a show like that probably, it's so funny how you talk like that and how much the landscape has changed because streaming television has become such a driver in the industry, and it's kind of schedule proof anyway. So these issues don't exist for like an Orange is the New Black, which is great, which is amazing.
It's fascinating. So in that show, we had a network show that we're like, got a time, we're going to be on the network, and 2 weeks go by and suddenly the show disappears until the summer. Basically, they buried it.
Yeah.
With Orange, when people ask me what I was doing, I was like, I'm doing this TV show. It's called Orange is the New Black. It's based on a book, blah, blah, blah. When it came out, those of us in the show, maybe there were some people who were more in the know than I was, but those of us on the show were like, it seemed sort of like YouTube. It's like at the time YouTube, which has also changed in those 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely.
But at the time it was like, well, we did a really advanced show to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which at the time was like, YouTube was like, your friends would make a show and you put it on.
Yeah.
A super advanced version of that. And we thought, maybe we'll get a few 100,000 people who watch it. And that'd be super nice. And that would have been super nice.
Yeah.
And for the first week or two, it was like that. And then a month in, people discovered it and enjoyed it. And suddenly it was a phenomenon.
It's a big deal, man.
Yeah, it was.
Do you feel that? Because you don't. One of the things I notice about doing streaming shows is that anybody can see it whenever they get around to it. So unlike when I've done stuff on network TV, let's say, and it's on at a specific time, and I'll hear the next day, I saw it. But you get that trickle effect when it's like a Netflix show. Mm-hmm. Do you feel the enormity is the wrong word because I hate when people misuse that word because it's supposed to be like enormity is like a negative. Do you feel the enormousness?
Like I have an enormity?
Yeah,
I was at the doctor and they said I had an enormity coming out of my goiter.
Well, enormity is one of those words that's kind of funny because it seems like you're saying enormousness.
Yeah,
but enormity is like the tragic largesse of something, and it's not tragic. So do you feel the enormousness of it, even though it's not being seen by the same people at the same time?
Well, the first season, no, and also that had to do with I had a really modest part the first season.
Yeah, okay.
They kept me around. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'd let me do funny things in the background. Mm-hmm. But just like one little scene here, one little scene there for the first season. And I was happy with it. It's a great environment. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. I was doing a play at the time. I didn't have any idea. And when it came out, that first season, people, maybe they'd recognize me once every couple of months. Uh-huh. But I felt it for the women I was working with. You could see when it caught on, it took a little while, the first season, but when it caught on, you could see the attention they were getting and the interest, and people got excited about it, which was really nice.
Totally.
The excitement is the nice part.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine that even if somebody isn't even thinking in terms of like, oh, yeah, you're a household name or anything like that, just seeing somebody do good work on a consistent basis and then seeing the whole thing get recognized, that's exciting. I mean, like you as an actor, I'm sure have felt that for other actors out there. It's just nice knowing you have regular work, but now knowing how respected it is. And now that you finished season 3, we're not going to talk about season 4. But now, as opposed to the beginning, when people took a little time to catch on, do you feel a little bit different in terms of your recognizability for people?
Well, 2 things have changed. One, people have changed the way they absorb it. I don't know if they changed it or if it just became more popular to do so. But now, within 36 hours, sometimes within 24 hours of all 13 episodes come out, there's a huge chunk of people who have seen it. Yeah,
I've noticed that too.
They'll like get the popcorn going and they just sit down and they go through the whole thing. And it's interesting because it's so much so fast. It also changes how intimate people feel about everybody on the show. Instead of like, it used to be you'd watch a television show and it'd go, you watch it 1 week and then next week, and that'd go on for 30 weeks, 40 weeks. And somewhere in there, they'd take a hiatus over the winter and they'd show some reruns. And so every week you spend an hour with somebody and it's nice and you love their character and you love what they're doing.
Right.
With our show, there are people, a big chunk of people who will spend 13 hours with us all at once.
Yeah.
And I think they end up feeling very intimate with anybody on a show like that.
That's fascinating because I don't know if you've ever done editing. Have you done any video editing your own stuff? Oh yeah, you're a filmmaker, so a little bit. When you go into the editing booth and you sit there with people and you might be editing something that you shot like 2 months ago, but suddenly you're now looking there at them for 8 hours doing editing, it's like they're in the same room with you. And you do feel a different sense of connection to the people you're seeing on a screen for that duration than you would if you just saw them in a 30-second commercial.
Yeah, I find that with film editing. I also find that with photo editing, because one of my hobbies is to take photographs.
Yeah.
And I really like the experience of going out and doing portraits with somebody. But then when you go back and you edit them, you have to like them on a certain level. You have to like what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So you have to look for the beauty in something or the beauty in someone. So you spend all this very intimate time being like, oh, frame it this way, a little more color, and oh, they look rosy, and don't they look sweet, or don't they look mean, or you become enamored in a certain way of the people that you present. I think it's the same with film editing and still photography. It's fascinating. It's interesting.
It even speaks to what we do as actors, especially like you said, you were doing a play, and we could talk about that. The amount of time you spend with those people, and then if it's a short, if it's a limited run, you have such unbelievably intense relationships with these people that you're working with, and then you get cut off. It's a very odd relationship that you create with people.
It's very summer campy. It's very much like summer camp, because you get in there.
Perfect example.
You get in there and you spend. You can do a play like the play I was doing that year. We did it for I think 2 months, 2.5 months. We were doing it at the Vineyard Theater.
That was what you were doing.
Terry Kinney directed. It was called Checkers. It was Doug McGrath who wrote Beautiful. He'd written a play about Nixon. So we're doing that. That was when I was shooting first season of Orange is the New Black.
Right.
And, you're with those people for 2 months, 3 months solidly between rehearsals and everything else. I still have tremendously good feelings about those people. Some of them I've maintained relationships, some of them not. During the period where you're shooting or during the period when you're doing a play, it's very intimate. That group, for example, was we liked each other so much. We would get to rehearsals and get to performances. When you do a show, you got to be there half an hour early. Mm-hmm. At least.
Yeah.
We would get there an hour before our half-hour call.
That's a great sign.
To eat and hang out and make fun of each other. It was a lovely, lovely group of people, and we would have dinners together. And I still see them. I still see them from time to time and work with some of them.
Who else was in that cast?
Oh, that was a great cast. Me, I was probably the little man on the totem pole. Robert Stanton, do you know Robert?
I know the name. Yeah,
he's done a ton of movies. Very tall.
Beautiful
man. Louis Stadlin.
Okay.
Louis.
So real New York actor.
Yeah. Terry Kinney directed it.
With who's got? I mean, geez.
Who
hasn't he worked with?
Yeah, well, me. No, he's working with me now.
Yeah, right.
And
the answer is me then, yeah.
Yeah, well, it'll happen.
Eventually it'll all be around.
Kevin O'Rourke.
Okay.
Michael Shanahan.
Okay.
Do you know him?
This is something that's funny, and I wanted to bring this up with you, is that you and I knew each other kinda for the longest time because we would be sent to the same auditions. Yeah. Because we kind of have a similar type. Not exactly the same, but enough so we were going to a lot of the same auditions. So you and I had this familiarity with each other, but it took forever for us to actually meet.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a lot of the names you're describing. It's like I have the face and I have the name, but I haven't quite got them both in the same room, if you know what I mean.
Totally makes sense.
Isn't that kind of weird how that happens?
It's totally weird, and it's also strange because when you go to an audition, I try not to do this, but there's a sense of competition. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to make enough money. Yeah. You want to get a job.
Of course.
You and I go in for a lot of the same stuff, but at the end of the day, we're so different that we're probably not going to outperform each other to get the job.
It's not going to be that. No. It's not going to be about either of us individually succeeding or failing. It's just a matter of like what they wanted that day. Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
As you go along in the career, you realize that more and more. You're not really beating other people out. You're just finding the collaborations that work. With what you do and what they do.
Right. And ultimately, at the end of the day, there is a director. And in the case of clients, there's the actual, commercials, there's an actual client, the person who's provider, the persons who are providing the product that we're trying to sell. And then the production company, the art department, the advertising company. Man, you'd love how I am able to speak. It's first day with a new tongue.
I know that feeling. Hold on, I know the feeling of a first day with a new tongue because I'm a first day with the first with the right side of my mouth.
You think I went to the periodontist for Christ's sake? All right, so
you know what I can't feel? I can't feel my nose. It's the weirdest thing.
That's interesting.
Because the nerves are all connected.
Yeah.
So I can't feel. I don't know if I can smell or not. Do you have anything stinky?
I wish I did.
I kind of wish I knew if I could smell the right side of my face.
If I had something, I have a cup of ice. That's the least likely thing that's gonna. No, there's nothing in here. It's a very.
My phone smells pretty neutral, so that's not going to help.
To the credit of Ripley Greer Studios, where we are sitting right now, it smells delightful.
It does smell delightful.
Yeah, and some of these studios can sometimes, rehearsal studios, you never know who's in here before, right? Dance companies come in and they do their thing, and then you walk into the room afterwards, it's like, there's been a dance company in here.
Yeah. You always know a dancer.
Yeah, exactly.
You always know a dancer.
But
I didn't finish who was in the show. Catherine Irby was in that show.
Oh, okay, sure.
Kelly Coyfield Park was in that show.
Okay.
Do you know her?
Again, it's
funny lady. She was on Living Color.
Really?
She was the only white lady on Living Color.
Wait, what's her name?
Kelly Coyfield Park.
Was that in the later seasons?
No, I think she was there almost the whole time. She married a member of the cast. She married Stephen Park, who was on the show as well.
Oh, man. Jeez. Okay.
Forever ago. Okay,
this is a long. Yeah, and the further I go in life, the more my RAM has run out, and I have to discard of things from my past, and I can't remember nothing. Yeah.
You're only supposed to be able to remember. I don't know what the study was, 100 people. Which is that
really?
Yeah, it's 100 people that you kind of know and can be like, oh yeah, that guy. And then if you move outside of 100, it gets a little challenging.
That's fascinating. And it also, there's a story I wanted to bring up because I remember the day I was you went from being somebody I knew at auditions to somebody I remembered very distinctly. We were at the old Beth Melsky. Mm-hmm. Beth Melsky is one of the top casting directors in New York City.
Tons of commercials.
And they used to be in an office.
Is this going to get me in trouble?
No. No, in fact, it's to your credit. This is absolutely to your credit because I think it gave you such a depth for me that I was like, I now get this guy better than I ever did. And this was years ago, obviously, because it was at the office on Broadway.
Yeah, I remember that office. Above the lighting store.
Yes. And eventually they opened up a second floor, and we were all up on that second floor and kind of packed in like sardines.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, and I think they even expanded it. So the first time they had rooms up there, it was like we were in this waiting room that was maybe 5 by 5, and they crammed 12 of us in there.
Yeah.
But anyway, the topic somehow turned to either kids' education or high fructose corn syrup. And we're all kind of just talking about stuff. And I don't know how it all clicked in, but I remember you distinctly saying, they have traced the decline in our education system to the introduction of high fructose corn syrup.
Oh, God.
And it was like we were all kind of dressed down because I think we were we were playing Moving Men or something. But out of nowhere in this conversation, you had this unbelievably articulate, well-researched thing to add to the conversation. I was like, I can't add anything. That's about as far as this guy had actually read stuff. We're just BSing otherwise.
Yeah, no, I have this problem where it could actually be a big blind spot for me as well because I love to read papers, scientific papers or studies.
Okay, yeah.
And, I'm the most likely guy in the room to say, studies show. And it's sometimes very true. It's often I have read something, but the validity of that study is not always 100% accurate. And what I do remember, I don't remember that exact conversation, but I do remember I had a band at the time. I sang in a band.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The Atomic Grind Show.
Nice.
We did circus funk music. And the song, we were working on a song called King of the Candy Store.
Okay.
And it was about, for my money, there was a time where, this is going to sound really scattered for a moment and then it'll come together, I swear to God.
Fair enough. Let's go for it.
You remember when everybody decided cigarettes were bad?
Yes.
There was years of my life where cigarettes were fine, and years of my parents' life where cigarettes were great.
Oh, they were recommended by doctors.
Right.
Yeah.
At a certain point in our mutual and on our time frame,
yes,
that you and I have been on the planet, cigarettes became bad.
They kind of figured it out, yeah.
And R.J.R. Reynolds at the time hired a bunch of lawyers and did a mea culpa. It took a long time, but eventually they did this mea culpa that was like, we're sorry.
Yeah.
We might have given some people cancer.
Whoops.
We'll do better.
Yeah.
We'll put, pictures of diseased cattle on our cigarettes or whatever it takes to help people not smoke. We'll make some gum that people can eat, then they're not going to smoke. A ton of things, a mea culpa, a lot of promises. About 5 years after that, maybe 7 years after that, obesity became the same kind of topic.
I think that was maybe the topic that we were going on.
Right. So obesity became the same topic where everybody was like, well, obesity's bad. And the junk food companies are promoting obesity and people are eating too much. And, Oreos have a lot of calories.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, junk food had a little mea culpa. Where they were like, we're so sorry. We are making you fat. we'll make smaller Oreos. We'll make Now, when that happened...
Was that when they took away the hydrogenated oils?
When some of that was the hydrogenated oils. Some of that was talking about corn syrup. And the argument, you had the guy saying, ooh, corn syrup's good for you, honey, on the commercial.
Corn sugar.
Corn sugar. What is that? Corn crystal. I don't know what they call it. Crystal corn meth. But at that point, a lot of those companies have been bought out by RJR Reynolds. It had become RJR Nabisco.
Oh, okay.
And so the premise of that song was that they basically just had the same lawyers around, and those lawyers were like, remember when we caused all that cancer? Yeah. I bet we could do the same thing with obesity. I bet we could just say, we're so sorry, and it'll work out pretty well for us. So I was doing research in that direction because I was writing a song at the time called King of the Candy Store that was about the fact that the same folks that had issued the mea culpa then were the same corporations. We're talking RJR Reynolds and RJR Nabisco.
And I think it's extra fascinating to find out, and it's comforting to know that much research goes into your average circus funk song. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, we had another song called Park Slope Mama, which was about I wasn't married at the time, about sexual relations with the new people in Park Slope, the stroller crowd.
Yes, okay, yes.
It required a lot less research.
Probably more fun research.
More fun,
less book page turning.
But so that one, RJR Nabisco, RJR Reynolds, and sort of finding a way to skewer those guys and go after that parallel action that their lawyers and publicity people took.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. What happened to that song? What happened to the band?
Well, the band went on for a while, but some of us got busier. Some of us bought houses. One of the members of the band got a little sick, and it just was time to take a step away from it. Once we started doing Orange and I was doing more plays, it was difficult for me to have as much time to perform. Yeah. In a band making music.
Success gets in the way of,
It's been a successful few years, but it's funny, actors, when I started the business, you think, I'm going to get successful and I'm going to be busy and it's going to be great. And you see it as like a single line.
Yeah.
You see it as this progression and like, here I am, and I'm like dusting lights out that have men's skin in them. Like I had to strike naked boys singing when it was in this basement theater.
All right, yeah. Okay.
And the dust in that theater smelled like burning flesh because it was all these naked guys. Every night we would be stripping. Yes. And so more of the dust in the theater had skin cells in it. And so when you were cleaning the lights, you could smell the skin.
Jeez.
Because the show was in there for so long.
So it wasn't like your interpretation of burning flesh. That was literally burning flesh.
Yeah, old burning flesh. Old burning.
Well, that's the best kind.
Strippers' flesh.
Yeah. All right.
So they're not strippers.
All right. So before we get into your steady upward progression from the start of your career, I want to go. Can we go back just a little bit? Because where did you grow up?
I grew up in Connecticut mostly. I grew up all over the place a bit, but mostly Connecticut.
Why all over the place?
Yeah, my parents didn't like each other, so they went their separate ways, and I went between the two of them. And for a while, I spent a little time homeless when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, it was a very strange few years between like 4th grade and 7th or 8th grade.
Wow.
Because my father got me into private school, but we were homeless at the same time.
Fascinating.
So I was going to Montessori school. It's very hands-on sort of kinetic learning. Blocks and little beads and like, what is the kid interested in? So it was great, but we were living in a Volvo outdoors.
Wow.
That burned down. We lived with a stripper for a while, and then she moved out and all our stuff was there. We lived in a trailer that burned down. We lived a very weird life while I was going to Montessori school. And then at a certain point, my father sent me away to boarding school, but we didn't have any money. It was so it gets stranger and stranger. The Milton Hershey School for children of broken homes and orphans.
Like the Hershey Bar, like Hershey Park.
Yes. So Hershey Park. So
that's what they called it.
Well, they called it the Milton Hershey School, but it used to be the Milton Hershey School for orphans. And then later they opened it up for kids who came from broken homes like myself, where their parents weren't together. Yeah. So my father sent me there for the better part of a year, not quite 8 months.
Okay.
I think he would have left me there indefinitely, but it was a really bad fit going from Montessori school to what is this? It's non-denominational, but it's basically a Catholic school.
Super non-structured to super structured, right?
Right, and super non-structured with children motivated learning to super structured with
whatever they wanted to throw at you. Yeah. Wow.
It was a really big shift.
How did you handle that? I mean, how old, roughly?
That was fifth grade. That was the first half of fifth grade was Montessori school. Wow. Second half of fifth grade was Milton Hershey School.
And that's a tough time for any change, even as consistent as anybody's life can be. Fifth grade is one of those years where things start happening that become real confusing.
Yeah, the whole thing was confusing. I don't know.
How did you get through it?
I don't know. I think I learned because we'd had, my father, when I was younger, he wanted to be a director. It wasn't working out and just couldn't keep the job going. Wow. So we spent a lot of time very poor.
Yeah.
And that teaches you to be attentive and a little flexible.
Sure.
So, you learn how to...
It is kind of funny because a lot of what I do, or a lot of what I find out by doing these podcasts is talking to people who... explain their childhood and how it ends up influencing their careers. And it's almost to a person that you have to be okay with instability to really do well in this business, because you can't panic that the paycheck doesn't arrive on Friday.
Yeah, no. Instability is so normal. I in my opinion, I've said this to my mother before. I've said this to my wife before. It's like, I don't worry about being an actor. I've made a better living even when it's rough being an actor. Even when I had to have a day job, sometimes I still have to do that. I've done better doing that than anything else in my life, both in terms of my personal feelings about myself and my life, but also in terms of money.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to let it be as bad as it was when I was living in a car with my father by an old pond.
Yeah,
I'm never going to let it be that bad.
You know how it can get, and you can see the turnoffs way before that destination.
Like that's never. That doesn't hold fear for me because I could survive it if it happens.
That's true. You know how strong you are based on that, for sure.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I think it helps. It's funny to go. I don't know. This is just a small anecdote about that, but I remember we would go to the food pantries. We would go to the churches and get fed. We'd go to the food pantries.
Okay.
But when we were at school and they had the can drive, we'd still bring canned goods in.
Wow.
So we would still bring cans in for the food drive, but later we would still go to the food pantry to get cans of food.
So you kind of it was like literally a food bank. You were just amounts of food you were depositing in the bank for later withdrawal.
It was literally like that.
But that's amazing. That's amazing. And when did anything stabilize at any point?
My father got remarried. My mother got remarried. There was some more stability. I lived with my mother for a couple of years and back in with my father. Then he got divorced again. So my mother and my sister found more stability. But since I kept living with my father, I stayed really unstable that whole time until college. And college is an unstable experience. You move every 6 months or 4 months or whatever it is for terms. My life never became stable before I was an adult. I don't even know if it's stable now.
That's interesting. You mentioned your dad wanted to be a director.
Yeah, you want to be an actor. You want to be a stage. Not film,
stage. Is that where the concept came into your head that was a pursuable career?
No, it's not. That's interesting. I like your question. I think the first play I did was. I think the first time I was on stage, I fell asleep. My father and my mother, even though they were getting divorced, were going to the same college in Connecticut. They were going to Eastern Connecticut State University.
Okay, yeah.
And they were both doing shows. My mother was stage managing sometimes and directing sometimes, and my father was acting sometimes and directing sometimes.
Okay.
Both of them were doing, the requisite tech work or doing some lighting design.
Were they young when they had you? Or?
Yeah, my mother was 18. My father was 21 when
they were like college age.
Yeah, so they were a couple of years behind because they didn't go to college until my sister and I were a few years older. Right.
But they reasonable striking distance of college age.
26, 27, somewhere there.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. So I didn't really think, I wasn't a child and I thought, I'll be an actor. But, I was in a show that my father was doing in college. I fell asleep on stage. But my sister and I used to hang out in the theater a lot. It was a comfortable place. It was a really... they'd be working on shows and we'd be hanging out in the seats just playing with Star Wars figures or watching whatever was going on. And, I had an unstable childhood. Both of my parents really drove home the need for a good education. And they worked hard for us to get the kind of education that was appropriate or right. My sister in high school ended up going to performing arts high school, a magnet school. You know, I spent time in a Montessori school, a couple different Montessori schools. They were always encouraging about gifted programs when those were available, or honors programs or college classes while I was still in high school. It was very supportive that way. And they would read it to us, not children's books. I mean, they did read children's books when we were quite young, but when we got to be 4 and 5 or 4 and 6, we're 2 years apart, they would be reading their textbooks, their college, or not textbooks, but like if they were studying Shakespeare.
They would read Shakespeare.
They would read Shakespeare.
Fascinating.
If they were studying Moby Dick. I remember being read Moby Dick. I remember being read. I mean, they read us The Hobbit and The Silmarillion and
but that's all really challenging stuff for anybody.
Yeah, they just went at it. They were like, we got to read literature for class, so we'll just read it to our kids while we're studying it.
That's to their credit, yeah.
Yeah, tremendously to their credit. I still believe in education, and I'm very thankful for that part of my childhood.
That's great. That's great. In high school, did you go to the same school for high school, like all 4 years, or?
I did. My father had remarried, and I had a stepbrother and a stepsister who went to the same school. I was the eldest. My stepbrother was a year younger than me. My sister was a year younger than him, and my stepsister was a year younger than her. So we were 4 in a row. But between the last year of middle school and high school, my father went through a divorce. So I ended up in high school with my then ex-stepbrother and ex-stepsister.
Wow, that's complicated.
Yeah, no, they were lovely people.
Well, it didn't have, obviously it didn't have to be, but it's like...
It was complicated. It was interesting because we had all lived together, and I'd started to get to know them and like them. And just as we had been like, we can hang out, then the parents got divorced. It was fine, but it was a little funny. It was a little funny.
I can imagine, yeah.
Ex-stepbrother and ex-stepsister, but...
Did you do anything performance-wise in high school?
I did. I did high school theater, which was, there was a man named Peter Lafredo who was running that program. And then there was a children's theater in town. It was Oddfellows Children's Theater, which had been started by some folks at Wesleyan. I went to high school in the same town, the city that Wesleyan University's in Connecticut, in Middletown. In Middletown,
okay, yeah.
And they had some folks from Wesleyan, some alumni, and some other folks that started a children's theater called Oddfellows Playhouse.
Okay.
They just hit 40-year anniversary this year.
Wow.
And I would go there. It was a great place. That was one of the other places I found refuge because in high school, my life remained unstable. I was alone almost my entire senior year.
Wow. When
my father had gone to Maine to ostensibly take care of my grandfather while he was dying. And I spent a lot of time by myself or on friends' couches.
Taking care of yourself.
Taking care of myself.
Wow.
Yeah. And going to high school and applying to college. And, my memory of that may be faulty. Maybe the last 6 months of it because I was a child. If
you did it for a week, you did way more than I ever had to be responsible for myself.
No, it was more than a week.
At this age now.
It was more than a week.
All right.
It was more than a week.
Don't discredit you get full respect from me for getting through that.
Yeah. So, my applications to college were largely sort of self-motivated. And I did a lot of theater because I had the opportunity because there was a good children's theater and there was theater at the school.
Sure.
And there was a clowning class they taught there. So we got to run around doing clowning. People would hire us to do parties.
Oh, wow.
I did improvised dinner murder mysteries theater.
That's great.
Did Shakespeare plays. We did those bad plays that they all do in high school with the titles that you never remember. We did musicals. So when I applied to college, I had a decent grade point average. It wasn't great, but it was decent. A lot of honors classes, but a huge resume of all this theater stuff that I'd done over the last 3 years of high school.
So when you were applying to colleges, you already kind of had an idea of where you were headed?
No, that's the weirdest thing.
There it goes. There it is.
I wish I did. I know I was a way to get out of the house. It was a way to keep myself occupied. It was a way to feel useful. It was a way to be expressive.
But you had no thoughts of continuing that as a thing?
No, until college, I still thought... At college, I obviously decided I was going to go for theater because I had gone there because of a specific teacher that I had met.
Okay, yeah.
But during the application process for college, I guess my senior year, I must have figured it out because I was still looking at polytechnic institutes and places that did engineering. I come
Interesting.
From... My mother's family's a lot of engineers.
Okay.
And I was looking into that. I said, I probably have a good brain for an engineer. Doing all this theater, and I'm like, I should go do engineering.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
What flipped the switch? Like when at what point did you say, okay, forget the engineering thing, I'm doing this?
I had a chemistry teacher who also volunteered in the theater in our high school, Mrs. K, and she was so supportive and just said, oh, you finally found what you wanted to do. You found a thing that makes you happy. You should do this. Which was also interesting because I liked her class a lot. Was she physics? Maybe it was physics teacher.
Some sort of science.
She was a science teacher.
Yeah.
And I liked her class and I did well in it. And I was so surprised to hear her encourage me to do the arts. It was lovely. It was really touching to me. And then around that time, I worked with a woman named Elena Blue, who is a deaf actress. And this was through Oddfellows Playhouse. And we did the Shakespeare in the Theater of the Deaf style. But we were all hearing performers.
Right.
So we learned enough sign language to get through these monologues and these pieces that we were doing. And I remember I had to do the Friar Ambrose from Romeo and Juliet when he tells everybody that the kids have passed away. At the end of it, there's an epilogue of him telling the families, this is what happened and this is what I did.
Yeah. That's where the entire story is basically detailed. My fascination there is that, I mean, you think of American Sign Language or I forgot the other sign language. But, I mean, all that intricate detail plus the iambic pentameter part of it how does it translate?
It's beautiful.
It does, yeah.
It's beautiful. You end up with this really lovely, because it's also creative. The sign language part of it is creative. You have a base, and then there's places you can take liberties with what you're doing physically. Okay. So you're still painting a picture. And it was so... it must have been super hard, but I don't remember it being hard. I remember her being a wonderful teacher. Okay. And I remember working through it and finding this physical connection to language and this emotional connection to the text at the same time, and people crying when I was doing it. It's not a monologue that people cry during. It's like one of those ones that's like, okay, we wrap it up and everybody's sad at the end of the play. I was very moved by that experience and by my teacher saying I should pursue it. So that's why I think I ended up picking a college that gave me that opportunity.
Which was where?
Beddington College.
Beddington College. Yeah. Beddington. College.
I'm sorry. It's the numbness.
No, it's me not even being able to reproduce the sounds that came into my ear in a way that anybody can understand. So where is that exactly?
Bennington is in southwestern Vermont.
I'm sure it was beautiful campus.
Lovely.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you said it did give you the opportunities to pursue some theater.
Yeah, it's a bit of a choose your own adventure college. Are you familiar with Hampshire College?
Not intimately enough to say.
So it doesn't have a core curriculum.
Okay. Super liberal arts. Then.
Super liberal arts. Okay. You have a committee that helps you decide what classes you should and shouldn't take. There are a couple of things you're supposed to do, and then they help you balance it out over the course of the 4 years, and you do a thesis project and.
That's not a bad way to go. I mean, one of the things I'm at my age now, looking back on things, realizing how hard it is to ask an 18-year-old what they want to do for the rest of their lives and then set them into this structured format where it's like almost, that you almost get to choose a little bit of your own stuff, but not really.
Yeah, for me, Bennington was great.
That's very cool. Yeah.
I was very motivated. I was curious and I was motivated, and I liked to read, and I hated to write, but I liked to read and I liked to talk about it, and I loved making theater and I loved making art. And so, you give me 24-hour, that was what got me there, 24-hour access to space where I could go and make stuff.
That's cool.
So that was tremendously engaging, and they gave me a lot of money because we were so poor.
That helps too, yeah.
And then later, as they realized that my mother had a stable environment, they asked her for more money, and she was good enough to help with that.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. When you finished up there, did you have a plan? Did you know what you wanted to do?
I had, I don't know if you had this experience, but a lot of people I know have, where you get out of college, you want to perform, you want to work in the performing arts. Yeah. And there is no map.
No, none. And it's not necessarily even my own experience, because I was lucky enough, I guess, in a way, to get into it later. Like, I didn't really start for real until I was like 28, 29. Yeah. And I bounced around doing a lot of other things. But now talking to so many people who spent their entire 20s just figuring out what the hell they're supposed to do. Yeah. I feel like maybe I didn't miss out as much as I thought I might. Or at one point I thought, man, I started so late. What if I missed out on really amazing stuff? But maybe I just missed out on all the confusion.
It also has to do with so many weird factors. When I came into the business, my mother was like, she's supportive. She thought, yeah, you should go do acting. That makes sense. I think you're good at it. But I said to her, Mom, I'm fat and I have a baby face. I'm going to do this and I'm committed to it, but it's probably going to be when I hit my mid-30s before I work a lot.
That's kind of what I went through too. Although I convinced myself completely that I wouldn't have any place in the business because I looked kind of like this when I was 18 with just some more hair.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, who needs that? You know, but I bought into the whole idea of like, or I completely diminished the role of people who are characters in this business. I
think it's character acting. I was hoping we would get on the topic. I had some smart thing to say earlier about it. And I don't have that smart thing to say anymore.
It might come out.
But I thought about it because, you and I, we talked earlier about running into each other at auditions.
Yes.
But I don't think, if anybody who's listening to this hasn't seen us side by side, the idea that you and I would end up at the same place for an audition on one level doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
I'm 6'1". I weigh over 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
You're
I'm 5'8".
5'8",
200,
Yeah, but you're a very fit 200.
I appreciate you saying that because I feel horrible.
But I look at you and you're muscular, you work out, you're good looking.
I fake it real good.
But our basic body types are actually quite dissimilar.
Yes. But the industry sees us very
as
similar.
The same.
Yeah.
As the same, which is fascinating.
Isn't it?
It's where, and that's how it is with everybody, really. Everybody is always so different.
Yes.
But they get us in there. There are groups of people that I see all the time because they think we're the same types of people.
Yeah. And it goes back to that conversation about high fructose corn syrup. Because it was because as much as we like to avoid doing it, we type each other all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's not that I typed you and it wasn't like, man, how could that guy say anything intelligent? It's more like I dismissed the idea of any specific conversation with you because I typed you and I type everybody else. So when you brought something new to the table, I was so excited by that. It was like, I get that guy now. I understand now.
I've been thinking about it a lot recently. The show's given me a couple of windows into all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a much kind of, I want to say healthy Instagram following.
Yes. Okay.
A healthy group of folks.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that.
Let's talk about that a little bit because I think it relates.
Because you're a sexy man, apparently.
Well, that's the thing. A couple back in January, I don't know what bee was up my butt, but I decided to pursue People magazine and ask them how I would go about applying to their Sexiest Man Alive pageant.
Which is great.
Right?
Which is awesome. Which is what the world needs more of.
But it's got me. So I started that and I started putting the hashtag out there and sometimes they'll humor me enough to write back to me or to like my tweets or like my photographs. Sure. But I found there are people out there who are really into it. People out there who it's empowering to them. And I think when we... what it's got me thinking about the last couple of days is when we look at someone like myself, like a larger guy, and we look at the typecasting that we don't even think about it. I read Hamlet, and the person I associate with is Hamlet because I'm a human being.
Yeah,
everybody who reads Hamlet thinks they're Hamlet.
I think you're right. Yeah,
because we're all intelligent and curious.
Yeah, and we're all at the center of our own stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there is something that when you see Hamlet, it never looks like you. Unless you happen to be a really good-looking guy, a good-looking Dane, right?
Of course.
Or sometimes it'll be Ethan Hawke. Somebody
who is the traditional sexiest man alive who ends up being the same kind of guy every year.
But everybody else still has feelings of being Hamlet.
Yes.
I was lucky enough when I first got to the city to work on a great play, one of my favorite plays. This director took a chance on me and let me play Wojciech in a production of Wojciech.
Okay.
Do you know that play?
No, I don't know it, but who wrote it?
Buchner wrote it, and it's this really weird tragedy, and he's a murderer. But one of the things in Wojciech is he only eats peas. He's in part of his scientific experiment, and he's only eating peas.
Okay.
And so it's always the skinny guy. Always the skinny guy playing Wojciech.
Right.
It was Klaus Kinski played him in the movie.
Right. Yeah, he was real thin. Yeah.
But that opportunity was so great to get into a real character and something that was the center of a story and to feel like yourself. Like you, David, think you're the center of your story.
You're the hero.
You're the hero of your freaking story.
Yeah.
Of this interview. in my mind, I'm the hero of this interview, and in your mind, you are the hero of this interview because it's your podcast. And
I totally understand. I mean, honestly, this is about you.
No, it's about us. Right? It's about the conversation.
Yes.
So the Sexiest Man Live thing, I started to do this, and people have been interested in it. And recently, it's really started to hit me that it's kind of a good thing to be doing.
Yeah.
That to say, like, look, I understand weight and health and issues like that, but you sort of have to celebrate your own existence on a certain level. You have to, like, enjoy your life.
Like, you cannot live thinking you can't be sexy because the definition of sexy is what you see on people's cover.
Yeah, you can't live that way.
Yeah, no, because you'll find yourself just miserable.
And, you know, it's also disrespect to the people who love you.
It is.
There are people who think you're sexy. Every single person on this planet.
Somebody thinks you're sexy.
Somebody thinks you're
Absolutely.
sexy. You are somebody's
That's a great
type.
point. Yes.
And so what's happened to me is a few million more people have seen me than some other folks. Mm-hmm. And so let's say 0.01% of people you meet are going to find you sexy.
Right.
So a few million people have seen me.
You got a good percentage.
A couple more people think I'm sexy.
Right.
That's still 0.01%.
In aggregate. No, it's the same percentage, but in aggregate, your 0.1% is or whatever you just said is a nice number.
It's a big number, but that is true for everybody.
True.
I don't care if you're tall. I don't care if you're short. I don't care if you got extra limbs. Somebody is freaking into that.
Yeah.
Somebody, that's all they want in this world is
Yes.
tall, short, extra limbed people. And like, celebrate it. Stress kills you.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it is that also kind of speaks to the power of the internet, you know, and how I think in certain ways the internet is helping to like really supercharge democracy.
Yeah.
In that way, because you no longer have to feel that you're the only person who thinks the way you're thinking. And it's the kind of almost the opposite of the Kitty Genovese effect, where
the Kitty Genovese effect.
Educate me. I'm sorry.
No,
You're so well read.
I
I made an assumption. Kitty Genovese was a woman who was murdered in New York City. I think it was in the 60s, and her loud screams were heard in this apartment building.
Oh yeah.
And nobody called. Yeah, and it was the bystander effect, basically.
Right.
But now people feel empowered by the internet because it gives them a voice and a method by which they can be heard finally, so that they are more willing to stand up because A, they have a venue to do it, and also because they don't feel so much alone. And I think that's what the internet's doing. And I think if people can support you that way, I think it's a great thing for everybody to say, yeah, why can't this guy be sexy? And why can't that person be sexy? Why can't that person be sexy?
If anybody looks at John Goodman and the level of talent and ability and smarts that man presents and doesn't think that that's sexy, you know, every bit as sexy as Ted
Kaczynski.
Everybody's sexy as Ted Kaczynski. That's a standard around here. The standard I'm working for is I'm at least twice as sexy as Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, twice.
No, Channing Tatum.
All right. Tatting Tatum.
I still have an excuse. I still got a lot of Novocaine in my face.
That's true.
Tatting Tatum.
You know, it's funny. There was in my head every once in a while. I'll interview somebody and I'll go through the machinations of what a conversation might be like, just because that's what I do to prepare. And I remembered wanting to ask you, since you are on Orange is the New Black, you're playing a guard, and there are people who are there playing prisoners. And even though it's all make believe and there is no real power that you hold over anybody there, do you ever see like people falling into that?
No.
Never. Okay,
not
cool.
On our show.
It's great. I mean, it's good to hear. And it reminded me of because I was thinking of Planet of the Apes. And have you ever heard that story where all the extras who were playing apes of different kinds, like some would be chimpanzees, some would be what do you call them? Orangutans, and some of them would be what was the other kind? Gorillas.
Oh, yeah.
Without anybody ever saying to do it, when they would go take breaks for lunch, all the chimpanzees would sit together, all the gorillas would sit together, and all the orangutans would sit together.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like the show, the women in the show are segregated in the show. You know, they're segregated often by race, sometimes by age, sometimes by interest in the show. The characters are. Sometimes there's some segregation because we don't all overlap in the stories.
Right.
But there's never a power thing that way. The only time I've ever
Or maybe not even a power thing, but just how they're presented on the show, like the different groups that are presented. Do you see that ever breaking out and subconsciously taking over when it's time to like get lunch?
No, I mean, it happens in so much as like there were a lot of more guard scenes this season.
Yeah.
A lot more stuff with guards. Mm-hmm. So we would hang out more.
Okay, yeah.
But when there's a lot more scenes where it's guards and prisoners, we hang out with the folks who play the prisoners. You know, it's just because we had a lot of stuff that was guard politics.
Yeah.
Where we were in
there were big
scenes,
guard scenes, yeah.
Big group guard scenes where we're all talking about the union and everything else.
Right.
So we built what was a newer community there for us because we had never had those kind of group scenes in the show before.
And they added some guards to the mix, right?
Yeah, they added some guards as the season went on.
And one of the interesting relationships you get is the one with your, I guess it's a girlfriend in the show.
With Kathy.
Kathy, yeah. And I met her for the first time a couple weeks ago when we were at an audition that we went to because they think we're the same person. And it was such a cool...
I'm flattered if they think we're the same person.
Same hair, man.
You know, that flatters me. I like you, so that's nice.
Well, I appreciate that. Plus, you know, people's sexiest man. I can tell people that's me. But it was so cool to see you two in that environment together outside. It was just like you don't get to see that very often.
Yeah.
I can only assume you guys have a really good relationship because you guys play it off so well on screen.
We get along like gangbusters. Kathy's a great person, and we've had the opportunity to do some charity work together, and some political work together. Oh. And she's been in a small piece that I directed. Mm-hmm. She's just good people. She's such a talented human and nice and vulnerable in ways that you want people to be vulnerable. So that you can like them and get to know them. Sure.
And she's great in the show. I mean, the two of you have a great chemistry. And you know, you could see that. It's the kind of thing where you watch and you're like, man, I hope they get along real well. It's kind of like way back when with James Garner and Mariette Hartley.
Yeah.
You know, when they had that relationship. And as you go work with somebody over time, I'm guessing that develops its own kind of life.
Yeah, it has. You know, we're supportive of each other. We've gotten to know sort of as actors, there are times when you need a little more, hey, how you doing today? We've gotten good at that. But the whole show is supportive. You know, I go out. I was just out Saturday. Leah Delaria had an album release. Mm-hmm. So I went to that, the cutting room, and like partied. We all just really like each other. There was something about the sort of humble start where none of us knew what we were up to. We thought everybody was great. We thought they were doing great work.
But you just never know.
We never knew.
Yeah.
And so we've all moved at the same time. We've seen this thing grow and the really nice response. It wasn't like we have so many talented people, but it was never put together as if we had ringers that were going to fix the show.
Right.
It's always felt like an ensemble.
Yeah. And you had some names who were really well respected.
Absolutely.
I mean, like you started with Jason Biggs and
Kate Mulgrew.
Kate, yeah, I mean, obviously,
come on,
you can't get better
captain.
You can't get better than her, and so you had recognizable
Michael
names.
Harney.
Yeah, I mean, you had some names, but they weren't the kind of names where you'd be like, okay, they're going to keep it going just to keep them employed, or just to like sell it on them.
Yeah,
it was a true ensemble cast right from the beginning, and what's amazing to me is watching that show is seeing how many threaded storylines they can maintain.
Yeah.
With so many diverse characters. When you're shooting a season like that, like this is a for instance question, so it's not like I'm not trying to dig. I'm not trying to dig. When you are dealing with that and you are heavy in one episode and maybe light in the next episode, what is it like for you maintaining that sort of like consistency throughout?
That's an interesting question. It has more to do with maintaining yourself as an actor in the downtimes. Because like last season, I think I ended up with 3 episodes off all in a row. Mm-hmm. Season 3, that's what I'm talking about. When I say last season
3, okay, yeah.
I mean season 3.
Right.
I've been very consistently on the show, and then in the middle of season 3, they brought new guards in, and for 3 episodes, I was a ghost. Not literally, if you haven't seen season 3, but
we're not spoiling anything by saying that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Nothing's been spoiled.
Yes.
And it was interesting to just try to maintain my sanity because I was so used to being involved in the project and seeing everybody, just to have 3 episodes represent about 6 weeks.
Okay.
6 weeks of time where I was like, what's going on?
Right.
That's the hard part for me. In terms of the maintenance, I think there's a lot of being in the moment. None of us have too much information about future plot. We get the episode, and a week or a week and a half later, we're shooting the episode.
Yeah.
We don't see 4 episodes ahead. Genji and the writers who are mostly in LA, they see 5, 6, 7, 12 episodes ahead.
Oh, that's interesting that they're out in LA.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you don't have, is there somebody there who you do interact with and just kind of like,
we've got a couple of producers on set who are consistent. There's Lisa Vanacore, who's our executive producer. There's Neri Tettelbaum. I hope I didn't say Neri's name
Sounds
wrong. She's wonderful. They're like our key producers there on the day. There's David Chase who's there. There's and then every episode, 1 or 2 of the writers will come out. Normally one of the writers will come out and produce the episode they've written.
Okay.
Now there's a little flexibility. Sometimes that writer can't come out. Different one will come out for them.
Sure.
So we have the writer who's primary on that episode there to do the work and make sure it's moving in the right direction to help produce it. But for the most part, they're in LA and a writers group out there working on the material.
Yeah.
But it's the internet.
That's a cool
nowadays.
process. Yeah, that's true. That's
not. Law and Order used to shoot here and edit in LA.
That's crazy.
They did. That's what they did. I think they still do that with SVU.
That's amazing to think about. It reminds me of the old days. Not that I was around the old days, but back in the 40s when we would record everything radio first, and then if it took off, we would do the film version. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, but nowadays, competition-wise, we used to compete with the people who were in the same market.
Yeah.
And because you can go to the audition, and if you couldn't be present at that audition, it's not like they could beam you over from LA. And if they wanted it fast enough, they weren't going to go reach out to somebody in LA who might shoot it and then process it and then send it out like a week later, except in a rare situation, especially for commercial stuff. Now it's like everybody's competing with everybody globally.
Yeah, I mean, I remember early on in my acting career here. By early, I mean, it was like 99, 2000. I remember mailing videotapes. I remember putting myself on actual videotape.
Your demo?
And no. Taping an audition.
Okay, yeah.
Putting it on a videotape.
Right.
And FedExing it across country to try to get a job.
Wow.
And that was like maybe a couple times a year. And it was a very arduous process because you had to get a video camera.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to tape it. You had to make sure it was the right format, the right physical format. The number of auditions I do now, where you put yourself on tape.
Yeah.
And you email it off or you Dropbox it off.
Could be tomorrow. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really changed things.
Or in an hour. What am I talking about? Like you can get the audition, tape it, send it off within an hour.
Oh, yeah. In minutes if you have to.
Yeah.
I've never had to do it that fast, but in a couple of hours I've done it.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, you could do it right now. I could get my phone out. We can open up a live stream via Skype or via FaceTime.
Right.
And you could audition for somebody in LA right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, to be off topic about our business, I think that's what's happening in Detroit. I think you look at all these artists who are moving to Detroit and to Buffalo, and the reality is, it's a little different for us, but the reality is the fashions in Paris would come out, and when it was magazines, it would take months for the fashions in Paris to get to New York or at least to get to like Utah.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, you're right.
You would get your Vogue magazine in September, whereas it had been in New York in July.
Right. The fashions themselves.
Yeah. The actual copies of the fashion.
Yeah, there wasn't the lag of actual print
there's
development and stuff.
Now, if it's on the runway in Paris, you could see right then. It could be live. You could see it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
And so I think for those things that don't require you to be in the same place physically to touch and to smell each other and to look each other in the eyes.
Yeah.
Those arts, those creative endeavors, those design endeavors are letting people move to Detroit and letting people move to Buffalo. And instead of, I can move to Williamsburg.
Right.
I can move to Colorado.
Right.
And it's got the same impact.
And I think it can be a very good thing because like diminished areas like Detroit can suddenly get an influx of people because the living is cheap, but they can still do their job there.
Sure. I mean, we'll see. I mean,
on the flip side,
the gentrification of whatever is going to start happening in the whole country as opposed to just in a small neighborhood in New York.
Right. I mean, there are some real drawbacks to it. And culture, for us, I mean, for us, it's where, there's been a lot of talk about how American actors are losing out more and more to actors from Australia and from the UK and stuff like that, because they can audition right from where they are.
I think that's interesting. I think that there are some just cultural movements with that. There people get excited about Australian actors, or people get excited about German actors, or people get excited about whatever.
I guess so, yeah.
There's a certain amount of like novelty to that process. But I think also there's that interactivity, is so different. I just lost my train of thought. That's so good. It has to do with like, you and I are right here. We're right across from each other.
Right.
Well, this is it. This is a structural thing about how we make television.
Yes. Okay.
That not everybody's going to know.
Right. Like
when you make television, the normal structure is, if you're lucky, you get a pre-read where everybody sits in a room and reads together.
Yes.
If you're a guest star like you would do or I would do most of the time, you often aren't invited to the pre-read.
No.
You show up on the day. They put you in your costume. You have hopefully memorized all your lines. They do your hair. They do your makeup. They send you to set. You get on set. They say, stand here, say the lines. Okay, go back. And then they bring another guy in. They light the whole thing.
Right.
They have a stand-in who's roughly your height, roughly your color, roughly your size.
Yeah.
They get the lights all ready, and they get the cameras ready, and they go back in and they shoot it. Maybe you rehearse it 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes and boom.
That's what was fascinating to me. But go to your larger point, though.
My larger point is like, I think that's interesting, but I also think like there's a be in the room with a person that for us is still important.
Yes.
That this democratization is being able to be across country and working together runs the risk of missing that. Runs the risk of, what does that person smell like? What is the touch of that person?
I do, and I think in a strange way, it's making live performance a little bit more special and rare.
Yeah.
To the point where maybe not now, there isn't this craving for live performance the way we want it to be. But I can see 5-10 years down the line, when it's been snuffed out so much, people are like, I really kind of want to just go watch somebody sweat on a stage. And that'll be awesome. And maybe you'll pay more for it. Yeah. So maybe there will be a renaissance at some point of that touch and feel experience that you can't get watching your TV.
I mean, I also think the TV is going to try to take advantage of that need. You're going to find broadcast television moves more into special events. You're going to see the things.
I think so too. Yeah.
You see the things like they did the musicals over the last couple of years.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they're live, because they're interesting, because there's so much content available out there. If I want to watch television for the next 40 years and never turn on a television, I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the event, they already know it. They already.
You want that shared experience, knowing that everybody's watching this thing at this time and it's being done as we speak. Yeah. That's why sports are kind of like DVR proof in a lot of ways, because you want to see it when it's happening.
It's a little late to watch the Yankees game the next day.
It is. As much as people want to try to do it, it just doesn't feel right, you know? And it's weird because we're also not just competing with other stuff that's being created now. We're now competing with the history of recorded material.
Yeah, you're competing with...
It's so hard.
Do you remember... This is a side... We're way off topic, but do you remember... which one was it? The Netflix effect where they found out the one actor was more popular than anybody else in the history of cinema.
No.
Who played Ironsides?
Richard... No. It's on the top of my brain.
It's with a B.
Tip of my brain. Yeah, it's with a B. Not Burton.
It's not Burl Ives.
Oh my gosh, no. That's going to drive me nuts.
But there was a quirk in the Netflix thing where he was always being recommended. Something about it was, I don't know what the machine thought, but the machine thought he was the most popular actor on the planet. Even now.
How do I game that system?
You know what I mean?
How do you game that system? Yeah.
Even now.
But it does go to show that technology is a great thing, and it can be kind of a messed up thing.
How much do you edit this thing?
Not at all.
Oh God.
Yeah, no. Because what we're talking about is exactly it. I mean, there's moments in this where, you know, maybe something bad happens, and I'm going to keep this part in right here.
Yeah, you should.
Absolutely, because what I'm going to do is at the end, I'm going to reveal who played Ironsides, and everybody's going to go, oh, okay, fine. Right. because it's like scratching an itch that just can't be scratched until we find out the answer to that, which will come in the outro to the show. But that touch and feel of us having this conversation, I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's great to have the ability to really like nip and tuck every sentence that we speak. But I think the art of conversation and the long form conversation is really valuable. And it's in those little moments that I think the real story is being told, in those pauses and where we're thinking. And you can tell our intent by how much we are either pausing or not pausing, or, I think all that stuff. Speaking of intent, and this one popped into my head. Your character has sort of been the voice of a couple of different quirky issues on the show.
Yeah.
Like the whole Red Velvet thing.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
The Red Velvet is bullshit thing?
Yes.
Well, what do you mean explain it?
Well, where did that, was that something that was just on the page and you read it, or did you know that there was anything behind that? I want to know the story, because it's actually something that I thought of. Like not like somebody stole my idea kind of thing, but I've had that, like, what is the big deal about Red Velvet?
Sarah Hess wrote that episode, and she is passionate about that topic.
Okay.
We have a great group of writers. People often ask, "Oh, how much do you improvise?" And we don't improvise too much. I've gotten maybe a dozen improvised words on the show.
Okay.
Over the course of 3 years.
It's not a lot.
Because our writers are so good and they're so considerate. You don't need to improvise. You say what they say, and it's smart.
It's good dialogue.
So Sarah wrote that. I can tell you a little story, but I can tell you a few weeks beforehand, I saw Genji. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what event we were at. And she took me aside and she said, "Look, I just want you to know that Sarah's written something for you. And it's very dear to her heart. And it's important that you fulfill the material and do it well." And there was I felt like I had got a meeting from The Godfather.
Wow,
and there was a lot of pressure. And
the whole history of the series hinges on this one speech.
So I was very nervous on the day, and I'm reading it, rereading it, and I'm going to her producer, and I'm like, "Lisa, and Sarah couldn't be there that day, and I was like, "Lisa, I need, because Genji told me I got to do it right so that Sarah's happy, and I was very nervous. But Sarah wrote that, and I got to say, she makes a really good point of sort of taking up the mantle of it, because I believe in it. I think she's right.
It's so funny, though. And I mean, when you're given something like that, where you're obviously expressing an opinion given by somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, when you agree with it, it's great. I mean, has there been a moment where you've been like, I don't know if I agree with this, but you have to do it anyway?
Not since I was a much younger actor, but I can tell you when that was terrible.
Okay.
I don't know if everyone listening will know what an industrial is, but you've gone in for a number of industrial.
Yeah. Industrial videos are like commercials that aren't going to be used on TV. They're going to be used in some other way to market something.
So I got hired early on to do industrial. Mm-hmm. That was the intention of it, was to give it to doctors.
Okay.
And it was for a drug. It was for Vioxx.
Vioxx. Okay.
Vioxx was this painkiller.
Okay.
Like an NSAID or related to the NSAID painkillers.
Okay.
I don't know. But they hired me to do it, and I'd never done industrial before. I was excited to get a job. I went in, and I was dressed like this wrestler who represented less efficacious drugs, and I was scream.
Right.
So Vioxx, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of nice." I don't really know anything about the drug, but I got the job, and it's not going to be out there.
It's not our job to be doctors.
Yeah. Cut to a few years later, my mother was put on Vioxx for a thing, and there are side effects of that drug, and the side effects are that it can give you heart palpitations. It can speed up your heart.
Okay.
And my mother started to experience the side effects. Now, they caught it early on, and it didn't end up being a long-term health risk.
Yeah.
But I had so much guilt for having been there. I was in a dumb video that they gave to doctors to tell them to buy this drug, and then they had to take that drug off the market because it was dangerous for people, specifically for my mother.
And you felt responsible for her ending up getting that drug.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know that's a little off topic, but
No. But it just goes to show. I mean, we were talking about a couple of companies before, and there's that moment of sensitivity whenever you're criticizing anything where you're like, geez, I hope I don't work for them someday.
Well, no, I'm not worried about working for Vioxx because the drug's off the market. I'm not worried about RJ or Nabisco because maybe I should be. But there's after that, I don't do drug commercials anymore. They wanted me to do a lap band thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, you want to try the lap band out? Get skinnier."
Good for you, man.
That freaks me out a little bit. that.
Yeah. So you have a line that you have established.
I have a couple of lines.
Good for you.
My agent knows that.
Because I haven't developed one yet.
Well, good for you. I'm proud of you. I developed a line because, I thought it would kill my mother, and I just stay away from things that are...
I don't blame you. No, I don't blame you.
Anything that's going to have more than 5 minutes of warning in a 30-second commercial...
It's probably, a lot.
I'm not in for that.
Yeah, I guess and as much as you said earlier that you think I'm working a lot, I don't have that sense of myself where it's like I'm bulletproof and I'm being like, no, I'm just going to say no because I'll work tomorrow. It's like I still have that worry. Do you still have that worry?
Yeah, every day.
Oh, okay.
All the time. No. I'm not bulletproof at all.
Okay.
No.
Not that you were presenting that. It was more about presenting that worry of like, geez, if I say no today, if I just said no to the last possible job I'll ever get, you just still have that.
Yeah, no. I think every time I finish shooting an episode of Orange is the New Black, I think I'm never going to work again. Every single time.
So it doesn't
matter.
Ends,
every single time. Every single time, every single job. And, the reality is I was talking about hierarchy earlier, like that concept when you get out of college.
Right.
Here's the path, and it's just going to go up and up.
Yes.
And there is no hierarchy in our business. And it's best to recognize that early.
Yeah. Define the hierarchy.
There's I remember when season 1 came out, we had this really nice thing at the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens. Mm-hmm. Not the Bronx Botanical Gardens. We had a really nice presentation and a red carpet. I spent that morning working for PBS for almost no money, pretending to get clams out of a clam bed, right? I was doing this really weird little commercial for PBS.
Okay.
Me and this guy Chris, and we're throwing each other around. It's making fun of Deadliest Catch.
Right. Okay.
Right? So I'm knee deep in mud and and dressed like that.
Sure.
I had to run home and get changed and do the normal things you do, and then we run to this big event, and then I think the next day I still had to hang some lights or something.
Wow.
There was just this, I've had days where you get up, you go to the theater, you hang a bunch of lights, somebody yells at you.
Right.
For a whole day.
Right.
And then at the end of that day, you go act in a play.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the end of the day, you go to the opening of a big movie that you're in.
Yeah.
And then you go home and you got to feed the cat.
Yeah, isn't it? It's so weird.
Or you go to the opening of a big movie and the next day you go to the dentist and they take all your face off. Or the next day you can't pay a bill. Or you never know in this business if you're going to have a year, you make $20,000 if you're lucky. If you're going to have a year, you're going to make $200,000.
Yeah.
And it has no relationship to how much you work.
Nope.
You could do excellent work and work a whole year and make nothing.
Yep.
You could do no work and suddenly it's just residuals coming in.
Yep.
And even though you don't have anything, you can pay your rent for some reason. There's no rhyme or reason to that part of the job.
It's very true.
And the sooner you get used to that, the easier the job is.
It's very true. It's kind of funny. I have to admit this too. Part of the way through that, my only thought was, how come I didn't get to audition for that PBS thing? It's such a weird... We're all screwed in the head, man.
Yeah.
This is such a funny business.
It's totally funny.
Yeah. So how do people keep in touch with you? How do you be online? You're a Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm Joel M. Garland on Twitter. I'm one old dog on Instagram.
One
old dog. It's a joke because I'm a gangster. No, I'm not really a gangster, but
okay.
It's ONEOLDOG. So you either read it as one old dog,
okay.
one old dog,
yeah, right,
or one old OG.
Very good.
I like the Sexiest Man Alive. I'm not a gangster in any way, shape, or form.
But
you
play one on Instagram.
I am the Sexiest Man Alive.
You are the Sexiest Man Alive.
You're the Sexiest Man Alive.
We're all sexy in our own way, man.
I so think that's true. I completely believe that.
You keep being sexy.
You keep being sexy.
Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, it was my pleasure to do this.
Raymond Burr. How could we forget Raymond Burr? The most popular man on Netflix, and we couldn't remember it, but there it is. Raymond Burr played Ironside. He also played Perry Mason. And no, we weren't talking about Blair Underwood. That was the remake of Ironside that popped up a few years ago. So our apologies to Raymond Burr, but my extreme appreciation to Joel Marsh Garland for sitting and chatting and having a good time. Just a fantastic guest and a guy I can only wish the most success for because he is just such a good guy. There are people in this business who are fine actors and they do an amazing job, but they don't necessarily make you feel all warm and cuddly inside. Joel Marsh Garland is the kind of guy who you want to buddy up with and just hang out with, and he deserves all the credit in the world. So follow him. Be in touch with him and continue to support his work. You can follow him on Twitter at Joel M. Garland, and you can find him on Instagram, which he loves. That's at One Old Dog. And I'm not even going to bother trying to explain that. He did a fine job before, but if you really want the link and see it spelled out for you, it's in the show notes for this episode at bringyourownlunch.com. Again, thanks, Joel. Look forward to chatting with you again and following your career and telling people, heck, I knew him when. All right, that about does it for another edition of Bring Your Own Lunch. Thank you for joining us. Also, thank you to Banooba, banooba.net, BANOOBA.net. That's the music you're listening to right now. That band is super good live. You can go see them live. You can download their music, buy their music, support them the way they support Bring Your Own Lunch. And don't forget to go to our website, bringyourownlunch.com. It's chock full of information. It's got pictures of the people I've had on the show. It's got links. It's got insider info. It's got all the methods for where you can download the show. You can listen to the show right there. So go to bringyourownlunch.com and don't forget to send me a personal email, dave@bringyourownlunch.com. Let us know how we're doing. And if you want to follow us on social media, there's plenty of ways. Like us on Facebook.com/BringYourOwnLunch. You can follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at BringYourOwnLunch. And, of course, if you would be so kind and you want to give us some support, go to iTunes or Stitcher and rate, review, subscribe to the show. I'm not going to say anything more than that. I tend to pound this pretty heavily, but I would love it if you would go to either iTunes or Stitcher and tell the world what you think of Bring Your Own Lunch. And then tell friends, put it out on social media. Tag BYOL. Tell people what you think of this show, because word of mouth, that's the best thing we got going for us, is having people like you share the show with someone else. You'd make my day. Stay tuned for the Jimmy Jack Cowpunch Hour, followed by Mansoor and the Fish. And until next week, when I have another great guest lined up, this is Dave. I'll see you next week. Blair Underwood.